The day of my husband's funeral was already heavy with grief and betrayal. Losing him so suddenly had shattered me, but what tore me apart even more was the discovery of his double life. He had been having an affair, and his mistress was pregnant. I had barely processed the truth when his parents approached me at the church. "She deserves to be here too," his mother whispered firmly. "She's carrying his child." I stared at her in disbelief. "This is my husband's funeral," I replied coldly. "She's the reason I've been living in a lie." But they wouldn't back down. His father nodded in agreement. "It's what he would have wanted. She has just as much right as you do." My heart clenched. Just as much right. I had given him years of my life, built a home with him, cared for him through everything. And now, I was being told to stand quietly while the woman who destroyed my marriage took her place at his farewell. When she walked in, dressed in black with her hand on her swollen belly, the room fell into whispers. I felt the ground tilt beneath me, humiliation burning like fire in my chest. I clenched my fists, ready to walk out, when my brother suddenly stood up from the pew behind me. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Enough," he said sharply, turning to my in-laws. "You invited his mistress here? To humiliate my sister on the worst day of her life." The crowd gasped. My brother's words echoed across the church, louder than the organ, sharper than any judgment. He stepped forward, pointing directly at the woman. "You don't belong here. This funeral is not about you, and it's not about the child he left behind. It's about the wife he lied to and the family he betrayed." The mistress shifted uncomfortably, her face pale. My in-laws tried to protest, but my brother cut them off. "If you insist she stays, then we leave. And you can explain to everyone why you chose the woman who broke this marriage over the one who kept it together." All eyes turned to them. My father-in-law's jaw clenched, and my mother-in-law looked down, suddenly ashamed. The mistress slowly turned and walked out of the church, her heels clicking against the floor. For the first time that day, I felt like I could breathe. My brother placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder, his voice softer now. "You don't have to fight this alone. Not anymore." The service continued, and though the ache in my chest remained, there was also a spark of strength I hadn't felt in weeks. As the final hymn ended and people began to leave, I caught my in-laws' eyes. They couldn't hold my gaze. Maybe now they understood the cruelty of what they had done. Later that night, I sat quietly in my home, the silence thick but not unbearable. My brother brought me tea and sat beside me. "He didn't deserve you," he said softly. Tears welled up in my eyes, but this time they weren't just from grief. They were from gratitude, for a brother who had stood tall when I was breaking. And as I sipped the warm tea, I realized something important. I might have lost a husband, but I had not lost myself. Because in the moment when everyone else chose betrayal, my brother chose me.